Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
Welcome to Making It with me, your host, Terry Woolman. First of all, I really appreciate you joining us every week. It means a lot to me and to our network, and we're so happy to share our stories with you each week with some very incredible people. Two of them are on the phone with me today, and they're actually in India, and so we are going to have a three-way conversation, and we're going to be speaking about this very amazing company called Saathi. And also these two people that I have that are my guests today. We had the opportunity to meet just in the last few weeks when they were here in Los Angeles accepting an award from the Not Impossible organization. And before we get into the show, I just want to remind everybody that you can find all of our episodes on entertalkmedia.com, Spotify, and iTunes under podcast, where you'll find it under Making It with Terry Woolman. I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the music business. But really, the essence of this show is about making it and the creative process and what it takes to really be a visionary and to take passion and integrity and focus and create. And my guests today are literally making it, not just literally and figuratively and literally. They are making a change in the world. They are making an incredible product, and they're doing it in a way that hasn't been done before. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest and the company. Saathi is a purpose-driven manufacturing company based in India that makes eco-friendly hygiene products. Founded by graduates from MIT, Harvard, and NIRMA, CEO Kristin Kagetsu and CTO Tarun Bothra are both innovators in the use of alternative materials and zero-waste production. Their company began in 2015 when its four co-founders came together on a mission to create fully eco-friendly, compostable sanitary napkins using locally sourced banana fiber from the state of Gujarat, where Saathi is based. They were inspired by the idea of improving women's access to sanitary pads in India by creating hygiene products that are good for the body, environment, and community. Kristin, with a background in mechanical engineering, was passionate about making a product that is sustainable using natural materials and impacts women. Tarun brought his business experience in renewable energy, materials, and passion for improving the lives of the masses to setting up their new and very forward-thinking social venture. Kristin and Tarun, please join me and welcome to Making It. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us over here.
Absolutely, my pleasure. It was wonderful to learn about your company recently and to meet you in person and to hear you briefly speak about your company and how it came about. And what really drew me to wanting to have you on the show today was the passion and commitment that you both share. So I wanted to just start by saying I looked up the word Saathi in Hindi, and my understanding is it means companion. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is right.
Why did you choose that name?
So the reason to choose this name was, more towards making something for people. So we were making, making a product which was for women, and what better than a companion, a friend. That's literal meaning of the word for women during her menstruation, during her periods would be. So the reason behind it is not just like, having it in a way of companion, but it was the word which was companion to women, companion to their health, companion to earth, because we are making something which is good for earth as well. So it was an overall round companion. That's why we named it Saathi.
That makes sense. And it's a beautiful word and a great name. It seems to really capture what you are doing. You know, one of the things that I learned from you and from looking at your website was that 1 in 3 women miss almost a month of work each year because of lack of access to reliable sanitary pads and tampons. Can you talk about that and really what drew you to overcoming cultural and economic and ecological challenges to do something completely different than had been done previously?
Yeah, so we initially started with the idea of trying to just provide access to sanitary pads. And in that way, we were looking at, kind of bringing the product and the manufacturing to women locally. But we kind of reevaluated that whole system and thought that for the solutions that were available and what we wanted to be able to bring to the table, there could be some more innovation and some more development and design around the whole system. So instead of just looking at access to sanitary pads, we looked at how we could kind of improve the product to make it even more sustainable and something that would really be new and different in the market as well. So this was something where we saw a need both in rural markets as well as in urban markets for this product. Women in cities were kind of looking for something different because the products available were causing irritation and rashes. And this was something where if we use natural materials, it would get rid of all of those side effects. So,
well, let's talk about the natural materials that you use, because you actually invented, a new use for a plant and a technology to make it happen.
Yeah. Sorry.
So please, for our listeners who aren't aware of your product and mission statement and really the process, could you do a much better job than I of explaining what it is that you do and how you do it?
Sure. So what we do is we instead of making a cash crop, like making something out of cotton or pine wood or growing a tree for end use, what we do is utilize our agricultural waste, which is banana fiber. So every 8 months after the tree is grown, during their harvest, the banana is harvested and the stem of that tree is useless. And what farmers does is they cut it off and throw it in the field in small pieces, so it biodegrades on its own. While we researching on natural fibers and trying to replace the chemical sanitary napkins and its ingredients, we went across researching on all the natural fibers, and banana was one thing which was not just highly absorbent and soft in its use, but also available in a way which was sustainable. So we were not harming any kind of agriculture. We were not harvesting something which was not supposed to be harvested. We were just using a biomaterial from a crop and making it. So we saw an opportunity that the banana is like underutilized, and it has something which is waste which we can convert into gold, and we did it.
Well, you actually did more than that. I mean, that's you went to solve one problem, and along the way you ended up solving multiple problems, because there's besides the main thing that you're focusing on, which is to provide product for women that they need so that they're not immobilized from not having the proper hygiene products. You managed to overcome a cultural stigma. You're educating people, and you're also not making an ecological imprint, but you're you are taking away a problem. I know that pollution, we have pollution all over the world. You certainly have it in India as well. And you're being part of the creative process of taking away more pollutants. You're using them. So I just want to applaud you for that. I mean, it's were you thinking about that when you first started this, that you were going to be solving more problems than the one that you were focusing on?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the things that also when we were reevaluating. So like I said, we started with just looking at access to sanitary pads. But when we were reevaluating the solution that we had chosen at the time and seeing kind of the landscape of what other solutions were out there and, what kinds of things we really wanted to try to impact, really in that way, we saw that not only could we make a product that is better for women's health, but we could also make one that can be upcycled as well. And that was really, that was inspired by many things. But I think, thinking about it from one perspective of, bringing a pad machine with all these raw materials that are plastics and chemicals to villages. If you think about kind of the model of, Coke bottles, you can find them anywhere, even in the most remote village. But in that way, right, there's no recycling in a village because there's just not enough volume, don't have the infrastructure to go and collect it, et cetera, et cetera. So similarly, there's no landfill, and where all these pads, once they're made and used, where are they going to go? And, these are disposable products. They are used every month. They're used by all the women, at least half the women of, that's the standard for kind of calculating women of menstruating age. But then if you think about it, like, there must be a way to do better. And so we really explored a lot more what materials we could use to replace the different parts of a pad and redeveloped it from there.
So both of your backgrounds that led you to this, because you've this company is you launched about 4 years ago, correct?
Yeah.
But you've got background in mechanical engineering, Kristin. I know, Tarun, you were actually running a family business that was involved in handicraft and furniture and cloth before this, but you also hold a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from NIRMA. And I'm wondering, at NIRMA and also at MIT, did they encourage you to be forward thinkers like this? I mean, what made you think that you could tackle a problem like this?
I mean, everything had a role, right? So, like, from our parents to our colleges. So everybody is playing a role in a kid's life. So we grew up in a system where we saw problems, and our parents encouraged us to, try to do something better for some other people, not just, going and doing job which just makes money. Similarly, our education was in a way that where we were meeting people, where we were exposed to such things. So I used to go every weekend to teach kids in schools, where I used to see that, what they are lacking and what problems they are facing. Because, some people are fortunate enough to wake up with a nice breakfast and a coffee in their hand. But some people are unfortunate in a way that they are going to schools just for daily meals, not even studying. So, seeing those things, and when we were exposed to such things, we realized that, like, making money, yes, you cannot survive without money. That's true. But it's not like you have to have like a ton of it to live. So we thought that why not put our energy to a good use where, we have a balance between a profit-making business, but still doing it in a responsible way where we follow, purpose instead of chasing profits.
And Kristin, your background is interesting to me also because, you even worked at JPL Engineering for a while, working on the Mars program. So, did that, or all of these, how did that influence you in your thinking? Because I know that's a very creative group of people.
Yeah. So, actually, since I was in middle school, I really wanted to do robotics. which is why I really wanted to work at NASA, actually. And I did end up doing, I was lucky enough to get an internship there while I was in college. And then I was in the systems engineering group. I think getting to work there, I really had a lot of expectations to some degree of what I would be able to do there and all of those sorts of things. And I actually got put in the software side of the systems engineering group, not the mechanical side, due to some other previous experiences I had. So I think in a way I really had wanted to go into the mechanical engineering department, but I got to at least talk to a bunch of people there and kind of understand a little bit more about what a career path there would be like. And it seemed like I would most likely need to have a master's or PhD or something like that to kind of to work on some of the really high level projects. And so at that time, I had also started taking a lot more classes at D-Lab at MIT, which was something which I was also starting to explore and really excited about because in those classes, we were using engineering to help solve problems in different communities. And that, I think, ended up resonating more because we were directly impacting people and helping them improve their lives or the surroundings or the community. And so I think for me, I ended up kind of shifting more into that space. But I do appreciate the variety of experiences that I've had to date because I think they've helped me understand things in different contexts as well.
Well, you both seem to have a lot of variety in your experiences prior to founding this company. And, one of the ones that caught my eye was that you had previously launched a sustainable natural dye crayon company made using products made by local artisans. And is it Uttarakhand, India?
Yeah, so I didn't start a company on that. I was just working on a project. It was a student project at an NGO, but it was in Uttarakhand, which is a northern state of India. And that was definitely the time where I spent about 3 months working on that project. And again, kind of thinking about how to use local resources to create these crayons, because basically they already had these beautiful natural colored dyes, and they just needed to make it into a form where kids could use them. And so the recipe for crayons that you could find kind of on the internet involved like store-bought items, but we were able to find equivalents in their community that were available, like natural resources, basically, again, to replace the standard ingredients that were in your normal DIY kind of crayon. So, that's kind of the project I worked on. And in working on this for 3 months, I really felt like I wanted to come back to India. And then a couple of years later, I came to help start Saathi.
How did the two of you meet?
So, Kristin came to India, for looking for somebody who can help her do something in terms of, making machines. Kristin came to my college, and I was, preparing for my MBAs and looking for something where I can really put my energy to use. And then she's like, okay, well, my chancellor called me from the college, and that they said that, okay, there is somebody looking for someone who has a mechanical engineering experience and business experience. So Kristin and I sat together and talked about it. At that point, my whole focus was about my MBA. So I told Kristin that, let me help you find somebody who can do it. I might be able to supervise it. And because I have to do my MBA. So I'm focusing there and focusing on my family business right now. But like it was hard, I guess, 4 years back to find a guy or a girl, like somebody with all these experience to do sanitary napkin business.
Right.
So me and Kristin, one day sat on an evening for a coffee, and we were like, okay, so this doesn't seem to be working out. You know what? Let's just start doing things, and on the way, let's like get a bunch of people together who believe in the same things and same focus what we are looking for to, like as a vision and mission, and then make a team, and we'll see where does it go from there. So, I mean, she is amazing at convincing people. So 6 months down the line, I got a call from a college. They were inviting me for my MBA, and I got in, and it's one of the respected universities. And it was a lifetime opportunity for me. But she talked me into like, okay, I mean, you did it so far, and you should look at the bigger picture. And I realized that, like, yes, I mean, MBA would be a degree for me, but then, doing something like this itself is more than a degree of an MBA. So, yeah. And I guess we stuck together since then.
Well, it's a perfect match. And Tarun, you just mentioned the bigger picture. And to me, the bigger picture is really reflecting on how each of us, not just the two of you and hopefully myself, but all of our listeners, each of us can make a difference in the world. And you are doing that. You are proving that every day, staying up late at night right now to have this conversation with me with the time change, or getting up early in the morning to go to the factory or to travel around the world. One of the things that you are both doing, it's a very inclusive approach, because you're running a day-to-day factory. But you are also, the educational and mentoring aspect of what you do is huge. You are going and speaking at conferences. I believe you've got something coming up in Canada soon. And I know that you give workshops in India, and you are teaching people. You're number one. I mean, you're educating women and men about a natural biological part of being a woman, and somehow managing to erase the taboo of speaking about it. And it's all very incredible to me, do you feel overwhelmed ever, or every day, or do you just kind of keep your head down and just stay focused on the goal and the intention of what you're doing?
I think it's definitely overwhelming sometimes, and there are definitely times where we have to like pinch ourselves and be like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. Because some of the awards and things like we've been fortunate to receive, like we really, they're kind of, they're really big. I mean, maybe they don't sound too big to other people, but for us, they're like, especially the first time that we ever got an award, I think we were pretty excited and thrilled. And and then I think we're also really grateful for all the different opportunities we've had to kind of share the work that we're doing. I think there's so many different stories that we have in terms of experiences that where we've been able to kind of raise awareness about the issues that we're working towards, talk about the model that we're using. We really do feel that if we can kind of inspire others to think more about being sustainable or about doing good, that, as you said, everyone can really make a difference. I mean, even consumers at some level, they're making a lot of decisions by the choices of products they buy, right? Like their purchasing power is pretty important, and it's getting more and more important as companies are starting to realize that people are using that as a way to show what they want. So I think it's been pretty interesting to be able to see how that, how even when we go to workshops or meet new people and, are able to share our story, that we're actually trying to help make a small dent in the world. So, but Tarun, do you want to share some, I think you have some good stories as well about even the cultural taboo and
if you talk about entrepreneurship, it itself is a very lonely road. A person has to just decide something and then have very focused and do things to just reach the goal and, prove not just themselves, but the idea about doing things to prove the world that, they are doing something. And when, you mix a social aspect of that with the entrepreneurship, that social entrepreneurship, it just become more and more difficult every day by day. So I guess the excitement is necessary, and we had a lot of it. Sometimes it's way too much overwhelming because we feel I guess, you should have some relaxing time also, not always excited. But I guess that's what the thing is, right? The change and the pace, keep it ongoing and moving. If you don't have it there, then I guess it just slows us down. But that's what, runs as a adrenaline in our veins, a pump up. And especially about cultural taboo, being a guy, talking about all these things 4 years back was not awkward to me because I got introduced to all these topics when I was quite young, and in my house we didn't have this issue about not talking about menstruation. I was lucky enough to see that, but the thing is that every other day is a new challenge, and you have to look into it, talk to some other person who ignore something which is very natural and very basic of it, just like a guy who have a beard growing on and shaving is similar to menstruation. But yes, you don't get pain, women get pain, and when it's more natural process because of that everybody exists on this earth. If you don't have menstruation, people won't be born. So it's always good, exciting, overwhelming, but I guess that's the part of being an entrepreneur, and if you don't have that, then I guess there's nothing else.
There's also a couple interesting stories about some of the events that we've gone to. As we've hosted a number of workshops, but when we go to some of these sales events and different booths and expos and things, there's definitely some interesting experiences that we've had there. A lot of people talk about the taboo, and they ask us about how do we kind of fight the taboo in India. But I think the taboo is pretty normal everywhere, actually. And for example, if we go to an event and there's a bunch of middle school boys, we've had experiences where they'll come up to the stall and they'll be really excited. Oh, what do you do? And then one time I had to tell them oh, we make sanitary pads, and then they start giggling and then listen to the rest of my sentence and then they run away. But I think you would expect that in any place. So there's kind of that sort of situation, but there's also some really great ones where we've gone to events where, fathers come by.
Yeah, we had amazing events where we were thinking that, women will come and buy the product, but it was really great to see a father teaching a 13-year-old girl because she just got her periods recently, and this father comes up and he's like, okay, so I was standing in front of the stall and he's like, okay, tell me something about your product. So I explained him everything. He looked around, he walked in, and I was like, okay, this guy looks pretty old. And then he just goes to his daughter, bring her to our stall. And then instead of us explaining to her, he was explaining everything to her. And he was so much, inspiring that he's like, okay, you should use this product because it's just not good for your body, but for environment and everything. You should have these values from starting and, look at these people. And then it was mesmerizing. And right after one other day, there's this guy who comes in running and he's like, hey, I just saw your product yesterday. And I went to home and told to my wife about it. And she's really excited to looking forward to try it. So I'm here to buy some. And then he's got some products for her wife also. That was good.
And I think his wife stopped by later, and then she's like, "Oh, this sounds really great." And then I think we were like, "Oh, we met your husband," because we saw her write her name, and it was we were like, "Oh, that looks familiar." So that was pretty cool as well.
Thanks for sharing those stories, because that's just so inspiring to hear that. It makes me want to circle back to what we had started the conversation with. Some of the challenges that you've faced are cultural. Clearly, some are economic. There's educational and environmental. Are any of these challenges, would one stand out as the biggest challenge for you, or do they all equal each other?
I think they are all equal, and they are more or less connected, right? Because in day-to-day life, your culture is impacted by your lifestyle, and also like vice versa. You're living in a very communal way, like where a lot of people stay together in a community, and then you're speaking to each other is a very different way than people who live in like micro families, like family of 4 or something. So cultural and all these things are somehow related one in the other way. We didn't have per se like any one difficulty other bigger than other, but yes, cultural taboo per se, is something where it's like there, and people have different beliefs about it. So it's just take a bit more time to get to know what is the reason why there is lack of education or a cultural taboo around this place. It varies from people thinking about black magic to people thinking that foreign materials are not good for their body, to like not knowing about the product.
Another bold move that I'm really happy to hear that you did, and I heard you speak about it at the award ceremony, was that your team consists of about 95% women employees, and that you've really dedicated yourselves to supporting women empowerment by employing low-income women in your production team, and also running an initiative that's called 1 million pads, or hashtag 1 million pads, to distribute pads among underprivileged rural women in Jakarta and around your whole country. Are there other companies that are employing women to the extent that you are? Is this becoming a more mainstream kind of thinking?
I've seen companies, empowering women for sure. There are companies which are making electronic bikes where women can be delivering goods, or like delivering your Amazon deliveries and all those things. I recently read an article about a lady who just joined Flipkart and who is doing this delivery instead of guys are, which is like way much more guy dominated sector of being a delivery boy. It's getting there in India because day by day the country is also getting more and more like resources, and then getting more and more a place for better opportunities. Yes, ours, it is a bit of a crazy case where, you can say that, yes, we stood by it. Like, okay, if we don't get people, then, we'll do it ourselves. But this is what we're going to do. We want to give women's opportunity. There are other companies who are taking on it, but we haven't seen somebody as crazy as us to do it, like in a trend, what we do. Some people also fear sometimes when they talk to us, is like, oh, so many women, and like, does it get difficult? And I'm like, that's not just like saying that itself is sexist, but also like demeaning women by saying such a thing, that just because somebody is of a different gender doesn't mean they lack intelligence or anything else. You just have to everything works different. Your biology is different. Your way of thinking is different. It's not because of your gender. It's because of you being a different person. So we tackled that, and we did it. And there are other companies we are happy about, at least started talking about women issues. And we see other companies who talk about like having holidays. So there was this huge, movement in India where, women were asking for holidays during their menstruations, because at least 2 days they feel so much physically challenged, because in terms of like the cramps they have, so they are not feeling good to go to work and everything. So they're like, okay, at least these 2 days, if provide as a holidays, they can perform better. So our take was that, yeah, we should. So at our company, if you are on your menstrual cycle, if you choose not to come or choose to work from home, we are more than happy to, support you.
Can you explain the term circular economy? Because it's something that I read about on your website.
Yeah, so basically a circular system is really about creating something that can be upcycled or recycled or reused or something like that. And so in the model of circular economy, essentially whatever things are made can be reused or recycled or that sort of thing. So in the case of our pads, really to make them sustainable, like we started with the materials because that's where kind of everything starts. So our idea is basically that, manufacturers have the most control over the product's end of life, because they're the ones who decide what it's made of and all of that. So if we can start with the materials and make it with something that's ultimately compostable, that's also ultimately the most sustainable as well. So if you look at the end of life of our product, besides being compostable, we're looking at different options such as upcycling it into biodigester systems and biotoilets and things like that, so that it will really kind of fulfill this whole idea of being part of the circular economy. So this is something where we see it can provide value even at the end of life, which is something a lot of products really don't do.
Mm-hmm.
So
you just oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So the conventional economy, which has been followed for years, is linear economy, where people are not thinking of end result. They are only thinking of solving a problem. They're not thinking about if solving a problem is creating more problems.
Right.
So imagine, like a car, making a car. So they are taking resources, lithium batteries or phone, and, out of certain resources. They are not seeing what is happening to the source, where they are getting their resources from. And they are not looking at what is happening after the life of that product is, comes to an end. So that has been a huge problem. And there are a lot of movements around the world where they are talking about it, where they are saying that, once, if the sources are not renewable, then these economy will fall apart soon. You have to find alternatives, but people are looking for alternatives or creating more waste or, again, ending up in a linear economy. So there is a huge difference between a circular and linear economy, where circular economy, make it, a full life of circle from start to the end of the product, and making sure that, it keeps on going in an infinite loop.
Thanks for explaining that. Kristin, I want to circle back because you said, everything starts, or it all starts with a product. But as I'm listening to you speak, I actually think it all starts with the idea, with the vision, and actually the personal belief that both of you share, that you have the ability and capacity and desire and the willingness to work to figure out how to make the idea work. I'm curious, do you remember the moment when you were sitting down and brainstorming this and you came up with the banana plant idea? How did you, because I'm guessing you had a lot of ideas, that you were exploring various different possibilities on how to accomplish your goal. But when did banana come into play? What was that like? Did everything just shift when you thought of that?
That was one of the first materials that we were fixed on in terms of using it for this product. And I think, it being one of the most absorbent natural fibers was a definite deciding factor, but then also, seeing how even that material itself was being upcycled, like this kind of all made sense. It really fit well with all of the kind of the whole model that we were looking at. And not only is it upcycled, but since it's a waste material, like we can also, have an opportunity to work with farmers directly and provide additional income. So this really had so many benefits. It seems like in a way we are being encouraged, encouraged to have a circular system. Like the more we can upcycle and reuse and really think through the full life cycle of products and that sort of thing, the more benefits everyone around kind of the whole supply chain really can get. And I don't know if that seems counterintuitive, but for us that, was like, wow, we can really make a huge impact just by growing the business. We're able to support more farmers. We're able to support more women. We're able to, provide the product to more women. I mean, there were just so many pros. It seemed like a natural fit.
It really is. I mean, I find it so exciting that as these additional problems, sort of pass before you keep coming up with solutions, and it becomes more all-encompassing, and you are achieving multiple things at the same time, where so many people in companies and mission statements, they focus on one thing, and you are not being limited in your thinking, or your one thing continues to evolve and broaden, and you don't let it stop you. You just you kind of you just use it for fuel. I think in some way maybe the problems seem to inspire you. Yeah, and so here's a question for you. One thing that I find really exciting, and it's very well deserved, is that you are getting a lot of global recognition. You were ranked number 3 on Fast Company's 2019 Most Innovative Companies list in India. You are recognized by the United Nations as a sustainable manufacturing company. You just won this award from Not Impossible, which is where we met. How are they finding out about you, and how is that helping your mission?
So we definitely, some of them are business plan competitions. So we applied and tried to take part. And some of them, they have they have a prize. And so in that way, we were looking for funding for our crazy idea. And, in the beginning when we went to some investors, they didn't quite believe in the crazy idea, right? So we would tell them, we want to do.
You hear that word crazy a lot.
Well, yeah. Basically, the thing was, though, at the time, in the very early stages, we did need funding to get started and everything. And we went to some investors and we said, we want to do, we want to make sanitary pads, but we also want to make sustainable sanitary pads. And we want to set up our own manufacturing unit. We don't want to do contract manufacturing. And this is something that we really strongly believe is going to be something that everyone needs and wants. And then they just said, well, you can't do both. You can either be social or you can be environmental. You definitely can't have both. You better choose one. And then some people would say, oh, no woman in India is going to want that. And why don't you just do this in the US? And there were all sorts of excuses and different things that people would say. And so, we went to some of these other places where it was okay, they're looking for innovation. They're looking for new ideas. They're looking for things to solve, social and environmental problems. And that's where we kind of had more acceptance and understanding, and people really believed believed in the idea, and had enough trust to select us and let us kind of explore and develop it and make it something bigger. So,
are you getting support from your local government and also from other spiritual and or cultural leaders, or is there resistance? Is there like an old school resistance that you find that you have to overcome?
I mean, like, we never felt as such resistance, and like not at all resistance in terms of doing business in India or like bringing innovation, because our current prime minister, who was the prime minister in our last term, like made startups, a big thing in India, that, people and especially youngsters coming with new innovative ideas wanted to do something from like business and, grants given by our government, our Department of Science and our central government have been the support is like next level. We haven't got that kind of support, and understanding from investor community, that what we got from our government, even government, like openly talking about sanitary napkins. Recently, a year back, government removed any kind of tax from sanitary napkins. So now these products are tax-free. So they are understanding, they are looking forward to support us. We got supported by our state government, and we got supported by our national government in terms of bringing us to national level and going, we were part of a United Nations, expedition which went to LA, where we got recognized by UN, and it was supported by our government. So like government is trying to support in any and every way, same as spiritual leaders as well. We haven't faced support, resistance or taboo, because these people are educated and they're working for betterment of people. So they have the inclination towards our mission and vision, and providing to the society in a social way.
We are going to be posting the link to your website, but can you tell everybody where they can find you right now?
Yeah. So you can, reach out to us at www.saathipets.com. We have different emails for different, kind of inquiries, from sales to, reaching out for information to us and media as well. And we have our Twitter handler and LinkedIn handle and FB handler as @saathipets.com. The social media handler for Twitter, FB, Instagram is @saathipets.
And that's SAATHI. And again, we will post that so everybody can find it.
Yeah.
One of the things. Go ahead.
Sorry. It's SAATHIPADS.
Got it. Thank you. One of the things that made me smile when you got up to accept your award in Los Angeles was your catchphrase. Can you share that with everybody?
Go bananas?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like you said, we heard about crazy a lot, which means you are go bananas. It's like a madhouse cafe out there, right? Every person who is innovating is a crazy person, because it's going against your regular rules and everything, and it's not fitting in your same system. So people call us crazy. Yeah. So eventually, you go bananas in a good way.
Yeah, that's perfect. It really shows both of your sense of humors as well. We are heading towards the end of our show, and I ask all of my guests the same question, and I'll ask to both of you. Tarun, I'll start with you. Since this show is called Making It, what does making it mean to you both personally and professionally? And also the second part of the question is, can you share 3 tips for success that have driven your career?
So for me, personally making it and professionally making it means like to do something which is not just for, a limited audience, but for masses. Like if you gonna make something, invent something, you should make it in a way that it's affordable and especially reachable. Unless your technology is not reachable to people, like billions which are out there, it's not reaching to its effect. It's just very narrow. It's not there out for people. So which is which is what the world needs right now. We don't need a new expensive phone, but we need a solution for how we can connect to people in villages. We need more localized and reachable innovation. That's for me making it is. And if you talk about three things, which people should follow to have a good career, or at least to do something which is they believe in, is first to be passionate about it. Really passionate, don't give up on something which you believe in. Second thing is that do it 100 times. Yes, for sure, 99 times you will fail. But those 99 times are working as lesson for your 100th time when you're going to succeed. Instead of doing it once and being successful, failing 99 times is better. So keep doing it, keep trying it, don't give up. And yes, at the end, be crazy, go bananas on doing it.
Perfect. And Kristin, the same question to you. What does making it mean to you, both personally and professionally, and also 3 tips that have driven your very amazing career?
I think, I don't know, I guess making it has 2 meanings, but basically actually making products, which I always was interested in manufacturing and mechanical engineering. So that's definitely something that I still really feel strongly about, and especially having a chance to be able to contribute to a product that's sustainable. So that's really exciting. And then making it, I guess, in the terms of being successful, I think that when we become much bigger and grow, if we're able to also impact more people and create a more positive impact in society overall, I think that is really important to me personally as well. And then in terms of the tips, I think I agree for sure with Tarun on passion. If you have a passion for something, that's the thing that's going to keep you going through all of the challenges and the hard times, any doubts you have or anything like that, any doubts other people have also. So definitely passion and belief that what you're doing is worth it, impactful and worthwhile to kind of keep fighting for. And then I think that being an optimist really helps, again, just when you face challenges and things like that, if you're seeing kind of what are all the ways that you can overcome that challenge or get around the problem or solve it, I think that's really what will help going forward is being an optimist. And sometimes it also gets a little crazy, but that goes along with what Tarun already mentioned. And what else? I think just having a sense of what your passion is really also helps you find the purpose. So what you really want to do and kind of what mark you want to leave on the world. So that was something before Saathi, I was really evaluating seriously in terms of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to make a difference. So I think that was really helpful as well.
Thank you for that. And you're both actually leaving quite a mark on our planet. We have about 15 seconds left, so I'll let you finish your thought and we'll close.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think having a lot of different experiences helps shape what it is that you want to do going forward. So just trying a lot of different things to find what fits and what makes a lot of sense.
Kristin and Tarun, thank you so much. Saathi, is a beautiful company, and the work you're doing is so important. So keep up the great work, and let's go bananas.
Yeah, let's go bananas. Thank you very much for that. And people like you help us to reach out more people. Thank you so much.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Woolman.